Avengers! Assemble.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Excelsior, the world's #1 Marvel's Avengers podcast. I'm your director, Christian Buckley, as always, here for your episode for the weekend of October 1st. Happy Halloween. We have the Apex legend, Jack Martin. I was going to try and throw some sort of festive pumpkin-y thing at you. The Pumpkin King, maybe?
Ooh, sure.
Jack
sure.
the Pumpkin King.
Oh, yeah. There you go. Jack the Ripper. Excelsior, happy fall. Recently became a fall guy. I'll let you know.
Love that.
Was a big summer guy for a while. Mm-hmm. No thanks now. I mean, it's fine. Whatever. Cool.
Yeah.
Was a big spring guy. Still love spring, but it's not really that much of a season, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's like 2 weeks where we live, especially. So, yeah. All hail the fall. Happy to be here.
It's funny. I wonder, because I went through a similar arc that you did, I think, with season thoughts. Like, obviously, I like winter as well, because it's cozy, Christmas. But, like,
Sure.
Summer was always the best because summer vacation, more video games.
Yep.
And fall was awful because it was school starting again.
That is exactly what I thought, especially with fall. I always associated with school starting. And I think until college started, I was like, oh, I'm actually glad that school is starting.
Sure.
That was kind of how I thought about it. But yeah, now summer is kind of meaningless aside from like going outside. That's pretty cool. But it's usually like blisteringly hot. So
yeah,
it's lost much of its appeal to me.
So here we are, Marvel. We got some stuff going on. Not too much. This is going to be a breezy episode, most likely, because there's not too many things going on substantially in the world of Marvel. There is earth-shattering news that we'll get to later. Probably soon, honestly. But before we dive into any of that, Jack, any other Marvel things going on in your life that you want to shout out before we go through the old rigmarole of the show?
No, and I feel like I've been saying that for so many weeks now. I just feel like there isn't too much Marvel stuff going on aside from the MCU, for me at least. Like, we don't have too many games at the moment, aside from this game. So, yeah, I'm kind of only on the MCU train at the moment. But what about you?
I mean, same, honestly. And for me, we were talking about fall as well. Fall, September, October, kind of November, not so much, but mainly September, October. To me, in my head, is Batman time. And
Yep.
funny enough, we are doing the Batman Arkham Long Play Club, which is up now. The first 2 episodes of the Long Play series. We have Batman Arkham Asylum Parts 1 and 2 available for you to listen or watch YouTube podcast services. If you're a fan of Batman, video games based off comic books, which, hey, you're listening to this podcast, maybe you are, you can check that out. Again, Arkham Asylum is done. We will be recording the first episode of Arkham City next week, so that should be dropping mid-ish October, so look forward to that. But let's see what's going on in this Avengers game right now.
Yeah.
Until October 13th, the Cosmic Threat event is the featured event. Again, that is the flying through the hoops missions that you can have sometimes, very Superman 64-esque. But I enjoyed it. I know you did not.
No, I wasn't a fan of these, really.
Yeah. What might be great for those who are either hopping into the game or, again, maybe you want to flesh out some heroes that you didn't play that much of. Ms. Marvel, Triple XP, it's her time to shine, running through October 6th. In addition to that, there's also bonus rewards for running higher level content. So you can choose either work on your low level Ms. Marvel or, get some sweet gear with your high level heroes. They have boosted rewards for the following components in Marvel's Avengers: Omega level threat, Discordant Sound Raid, and the elite version of the Discordant Sound Raid. This is the first I think I've seen this where they amplified the rewards you're getting out of high level content, or at the very least the first I've seen it in a while, I think. So,
yeah, I think it's kind of the first I've seen it as well, so you're probably right.
I wonder if this is to prepare for the next Omega level threat, the cloning lab, which I would be willing to bet is probably going to have a bumped up power level requirement. What's the cap now? 175.
175.
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say 180 when this new thing drops. So
That checks out.
get in there, get your Thor ready.
I really need to, but I won't.
Same. I'm being serious. I need to do that.
Yeah.
My Thor is still 150. I have not bumped him up yet. So
Mine's like probably 152. Like
Ooh,
a
okay.
bare increment higher.
Yeah, got to get back on that grind because I genuinely I'm looking forward to the cloning lab. Out of all the things after all this time, it's got a reputation. I got to see that thing.
Sure, sure.
Again, as a reminder, logging in before October 8th, you will get the MCU skin bundle pack of the Iron Man 2 Mark 5 suitcase suit, Thor 1, and Captain America from Avengers 1. Clock is ticking on that. You just got to have the game installed and log in, and you will automatically redeem those outfits. And speaking of outfits, we got a new shipment, which is pretty cool, and a new marketplace highlight. Jack, tell me about these things.
Yes. The new shipment skin is Captain America's Secret Empire outfit. Now, to ask you, Christian, is this like the Serpent Society one?
So I don't know, but my guess when I saw this was Secret Empire, I believe was the story arc from a couple years ago that people were really upset about, where Cap was like, he's a Hydra agent.
Um, I think his suit was blue in that, wasn't it?
I think on the panel that was revealed that everybody was tweeting about, yes, but I think he might have donned this green and yellow Cap suit in that run. Let me investigate.
Okay, you investigate, but yes, it is to describe this skin. It's mostly green and yellow, like you mentioned. Like his top half is green. He has like yellow long gloves. The coolest thing, I think, I always like when we get a different color scheme for the shield. So his shield is green and yellow, and the star on his chest is also yellow. So very different from the traditional red, white, and blue, of course. So this is a nice thing to mix it up with.
I agree. I did find this. It is, in fact, from that arc from a few years ago, where it started in 2017, and believe it or not, it was that outrage was 5 years ago. Yeah, it is Cap from that comic run where he is revealed to be a Hydra agent in disguise, and I never read it, but I think it turned out in the end that he was just like deep cover or something. I don't know.
Yes,
People
I
jump the
remember.
gun.
Yeah, I definitely remember the outrage. I remember like understanding why people are upset, but at the same time, as soon as that happened, I was like, This is not actually real. Like it's a comic book. I know, like for a fact that he's gonna be like, I was brainwashed, or that was actually a clone, and it was one of those. I think he was brainwashed or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do remember all the hubbub. Tumblr was
Once
going nuts.
once you accept the fact that, especially with Marvel and even DC as well, like more comic side, where there is some cohesion, once you accept that comic book movies adaptations have zero stakes, you're gonna enjoy everything a lot more. You know.
Yeah, it's good to point out.
I think that is an important thing to keep in mind when we get to another topic down this episode. So, the other featured item in the marketplace this week, Ms. Marvel Power Gloves.
Yeah, what?
Oh, you see, she's got like a baseball mitt maybe, or like some like playing again. I'm playing Red Dead lately. We got these ranching hand gloves, perhaps. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, is her hand just like? Did they drag the slider up on her hand to make it bigger? Pretty much.
I think she's just wearing gloves.
I can't tell if. Like, I want to know. Let me look if I can see, like, in the actual war table, like, what she looks like in the marketplace. Okay, so her hands are, like, imagine she's T-posing. She looks completely normal.
Yeah.
I thought in the photo that they shared for this, it looked like one hand was, like, significantly bigger than the other. And I thought that's just how it was normally. So, yeah. This just looks like a Ms. Marvel skin that's somewhat different. Like, but not really.
Yes. So for those that have been waiting for the Ms. Marvel with the glove fit, congratulations, you got it.
There you go. Huge news.
I mean, to be completely honest, I understand if this is like a fan favorite look, right? Because I'm still waiting for any Spider-Man game to do the full-blown Todd McFarlane gigantic eyes, like 90% eyes on that mask. That's my favorite look.
Have they added any Spider-Man skins since, like, I don't know, in the past year?
Not in a minute. I think.
Are they, like, not allowed to?
I don't know. I was wondering that. Because, like, I mean, it's not out of the blue for a hero in this game to go a long time without getting a new skin. Like, that's happened before. Ms. Marvel, I remember there was a long time where she was not getting new outfits. But, yeah, off the dome, I really think the last Spider-Man suit was around No Way Home.
I think it was.
So.
And honestly, it might not make sense for them to develop those skins all that much if they're only available to one portion of the audience.
Yep, I agree.
Which makes sense. And at the same time, they probably also don't want to, every time they release a Spider-Man skin, to be like, oh, this was free in the PS4 game. Yeah. I know that's probably like a lesser concern, but that's still probably present.
Yeah. So, that's the deal with Marvel's Avengers this week. But meanwhile, there's some things going on in the larger Marvel universe. We're going to ramp up to the big one because we got 2 quick hits. First up, apparently, allegedly, Blade having a lot of production problems behind the scenes, probably going to slip out of its current release date, which I believe is set to be fall next year. So,
yeah, was it 2024? Or maybe I'm thinking of something else.
Because I believe they were supposed to start shooting this year, and it was going to be released next year.
Okay. That sounds right. I just have trouble with dates at this point, with so many MCU things coming out.
None of them matter, also. All these things are going to move around. Again, they've been moving around for the past 3 years, so.
Yeah. It's interesting that we heard this, because I feel like that's not something we typically hear about in production MCU things beforehand. Like, and I think the details of this were Mahershala Ali didn't like the direction of things. Mm-hmm. I think the director left, and people were saying Kevin Feige feels stretched thin, which that makes sense.
Yeah. Like, I'm not surprised when I was reading any of that, you know? I'm kind of bummed because this is one of my more anticipated projects out of this current slate they have because I love Mahershala Ali, and I think there's a lot of potential to see Blade in the MCU, and I think that could introduce a tone that a lot of people have been wanting out of the MCU for a long time now, even more so recently, I think, in terms of just cranking up sort of the, not darkness, but like having some room to have things feel a bit more blood-soaked, I guess. I don't know.
Sure.
And we've been dancing around that. Like, there were those comments around Moon Knight, which kind of, in my opinion, I feel did not fully deliver to the, like, expectation of brutality that they kept touting out beforehand. And then, you know, we have other things down the pipeline that could probably lean into that as well. But Blade feels like one where you have to do it one way. And I am wondering if that is the direction that Mahershala wants to go in, and maybe is not super pleased with the current state of the compromise. I don't know.
Yeah, that's interesting. Is this supposed to be R-rated? I thought it might have been.
I don't know. I feel like everything we know about Blade is just hearsay outside of the casting.
Right. Yeah, that might be part of it. If, like what you were saying, Mahershala Ali wants it to go darker than the project is currently going. We're not, again, that's hearsay. Like you mentioned, like we're not really sure about that, but that's entirely possible. And if they're not given that R rating, then that could be a wrench thrown into this thing. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it seems like this is one of the projects that they kind of need to get right, considering the first Blade movies weren't all that great. From what I've heard, I've never seen them. I just know that they're not.
I've heard the first 2 are fantastic.
Oh, maybe I'm wrong.
Maybe I'm wrong. The second one, Guillermo del Toro directed that one.
Ooh.
And I think they're both on Netflix. We should probably watch them at some point. It's October. Maybe we do, like, if there's a dead week, throw it on there, you know?
I mean, I'd be down.
I'd be down as well. I'll look
Okay.
into that after we finish recording today.
Yeah, I would also be very interested. That's Wesley Snipes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
So
I mean, I would certainly be interested. But yeah, it seems like they only had those two movies, and I feel like the character from the mainstream has kind of been, or is it three movies?
there's
Blade's
three.
three.
Three is the one that gets the shit. Three is the one that apparently went off the rails. Terrible.
Okay, wow. I know nothing about these movies apparently. So I feel like to enter back into the mainstream, this movie kind of needs to. It's similar to Fantastic Four in a way, although I think Fantastic Four probably has more weight than this does. But I think it's important, and I hope they get it right.
Yeah, like in my head, Blade feels like the easiest movie to nail, right? Like it is a cool guy killing vampires, make it a little creepy, lean into some cool horror shots, and release it around October, and it's easy money,
Yep.
you know. Where Fantastic Four, I think there's like a way more avenues where that can just like not be handled correctly or properly or the best way possible. But like Blade, I feel like people like Blade. If people know who Blade is, there's a lot of people who are probably like 10 years older than us that really love those movies and they think Blade's awesome.
Those movies seem like they're cult classics because like
Yeah.
they're not anything that is still in the mainstream these days. But when you hear people talking about them, there's like a subsect of fans who really enjoy them. It
Yeah.
seems so that
Like
that'll be important when this movie comes out.
for sure. And there's already a lot of like weight because I remember when it was initially cast, people were like, "Oh, but Wesley Snipes was so good." So I know there are groups of people who how some people will say like, "Oh, Spider-Man, Sam Raimi's Spider-Man like birthed the modern superhero," and then you get people that are like, "Actually, it was X-Men."
Mm-hmm.
There are people who say actually it was Blade because Blade was 1997, I think, and that led into the more popular X-Men and Spider-Man movies. So
Right. Yep.
interesting beast. I have high hopes, but I hope this is all just rumors and no real weight behind it because that would be a bummer if Blade is the thing that falters next
Yeah.
year.
And
So
if it's that early in like the production, perhaps this is something that can restart in a way. Or this could be something that makes it even worse. I'm hoping for the former, but we'll have to see on that.
you know what else we're gonna have to see?
What's that?
Whether or not Thunderbolt Ross gets recast in the upcoming Thunderbolts film. There's currently a rumor floating around from Jeff Snyder, who we used to work at Collider. We've brought up reports from Snyder before. I think he wrote for The Wrap as well. Current rumor is Harrison Ford is Disney slash Marvel's number one choice to play Thaddeus Ross in the Thunderbolts. How do you feel about this, and do you think it'll happen?
I mean, what a surprise this was when this came up today.
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about it. I like the idea of Harrison Ford being in the MCU. No doubt about that. Him being Ross, I'm not sure. I guess the correct decision would be to recast that character if Ross was going to play a bigger importance in the MCU going forward, which it kind of seemed like he would. So, I mean, I guess I'd be on board with this. Harrison Ford being in the MCU just seems like something I never considered because I didn't think it'd be really possible. But if this is Marvel saying they want to work with, like if this is true and Marvel does want to work with Harrison Ford in that capacity, I would have to imagine Ross would be an even bigger importance than the character already was, having Harrison Ford in that role, because he brings people to the movies. So I feel like that character would even get like a larger role in the MCU.
I think it's either that or he shows up for one really important thing and then is, like, killed, because he could. The. the rumor and like the steam behind this is that, oh, they want to use Red Hulk at some point. And the reason they need to recast is because Red Hulk is Ross. So unless they want to pull some sort of like Taskmaster switcheroo, which they very well could do, they need a Ross to have at play in a variety of projects or just Thunderbolts. So I'm with you. I think it'd be cool to see Harrison Ford pop up in a Marvel thing. I never expected him to be down for that, just
No.
based off of his Star Wars comments. But yeah, curious to see if this goes anywhere. I imagine we'd hear something about it in the next 6 to 8 months, probably, since Thunderbolts is supposed to start shooting, I think, next year. So yeah, I don't know. I really don't know.
No, I'm with you. Also, I feel like even if he doesn't get cast in this role, that's at least a conversation with Marvel, and maybe that leads to a different character. That's happened with, I think Christine Palmer, who is played by
Rachel McAdams.
Rachel McAdams. I believe she was originally auditioning for the role of Gwyneth Paltrow's character, which is Pepper Potts, I think.
Okay.
Or maybe it's the other way around. Maybe one of those people and characters auditioned for that, and they became another character. And that has happened with a bunch of different actors in the MCU. Like, even Tom Hiddleston auditioned as Thor and became Loki. Obviously, that's a little closer in like roles in movies, but that's certainly a possibility. So at least the conversation it has been had seemingly, and maybe that leads to something else.
Yeah, so we will wait and see on that front, but very, very interesting out of Harrison Ford's choices for his roles. I mean, like, it's really just Star Wars that's the problem, because I've seen Harrison Ford be tied to some pretty whack-looking movies, like lately even.
Yeah, I mean, he was in Blade Runner, which is, features sci-fi elements, obviously, a little bit more seriously than Star Wars. And I did not realize his emotional attachment to Indiana Jones
Yeah,
until
dude.
he was being very emotional on stage about that movie, about the upcoming movie. That was very surprising. So, I mean, I always kind of thought he was ambivalent to any of his roles because of how he treated Star Wars, but clearly not the case. I think he's just like, I don't understand Star Wars and I don't care. That's kind of it.
Yeah, so we will keep tabs, but something else that's gone on recently in Marvel this week. This is the earth-shattering thing I brought up before. This is the thing I talked about. Don't take things too seriously. Ryan Reynolds, on his Twitter, posted a video the other day talking about Deadpool, specifically Deadpool 3, the first Deadpool in the MCU. Very, very, very funny video. Ryan Reynolds doing his Ryan Reynolds thing, being like, "Oh yeah, we like really looked down to see like what we could fix, what we could do, where we want to take the character, and we couldn't think of anything, but we did have one idea." And then Hugh Jackman walks behind him on set, and he's like, "Hey Hugh, you want to be Wolverine again?" And it's like, "Yep, all right." We're doing Deadpool and Wolverine. It's coming out September 24th. Sorry, September 2024. Did you think this was real when you first saw it? Like, I've seen so many different highs and lows of people reacting to this announcement over the past few days.
The first thing I saw was the logo and was very confused because I'm like, all right, Deadpool 3, obviously. What are these scratch marks? And I was like, Wolverine, but that makes no sense. And then I saw the video and I was like, no way. Can't believe that. But it's completely real. That was, I think, one of the biggest surprises in Marvel movies really ever, like in terms of announcing that. That just came out of nowhere. Like no leaks or anything, like no, hey, there are rumors that they're working together. That just came out of nowhere on a random Wednesday, and it was awesome.
Yeah. So just some quick setup. Deadpool 3 currently, we've been told this is going to be rated R. They're keeping that up. They are going to be producing it over the next year or so. Sean Levy is tapped to be the director. Sean Levy has recently done such hits like Free Guy, uh, the Adam Project for Netflix, which is also a Ryan Reynolds feature.
Man, this guy loves Ryan Reynolds.
He does, yeah. But also, Sean Levy, I believe, was the producer and directed a good number of episodes of Stranger Things. So I'm inclined to trust him with this project based off of the weight behind it at this point, because I haven't seen his other films, but what he's done on Stranger Things I really like.
Yes, and I also would imagine the tone of something like Free Guy. I'm not sure about the Adam Project. I just have seen enough videos of Free Guy that I feel like it's similar in tone in a sense to Deadpool, where that seems like an easy match in a way.
Very memey.
Yeah, right. So that seems like a good fit.
Yeah. So getting to like the the elephant in the room with it, it's Wolverine. Hugh Jackman's coming back. He's playing Wolverine. They said one more time.
Yeah, okay.
First up, do you believe it's one more time? Like, do you think they're gonna tap him for Secret Wars also?
I think it is a Spider-Man situation where they get Toby and Andrew back as a one more time, and then everyone sees that movie and they're probably like, you know what, we can make a boatload of money off of these guys. Let's do some other projects, which is certainly happening, I would have to imagine. So I feel like it's probably like what you mentioned, Secret Wars. We're probably gonna see. I don't know what iteration of Wolverine this is. I would imagine it's not the one who is dead, or I don't know. Maybe there's some time travel stuff going on. Who knows? But either way, yeah, I feel like there's been enough time since Logan where people will have like nostalgia in a sense for the character, and then I'm sure this movie will do very well, and then they'll feature his character, probably in a smaller role in like Secret Wars or whatever.
Sure. So I think there's a couple layers going on here because I have seen very vocally upset people that Hugh Jackman's coming back because it somehow cheapens Logan. And I can see where that thought process comes from. However, one, does Logan not take place like far future from like modern day?
It's like 2029.
Wow. Oh, wow. Okay. I thought it was like 2060. All right.
No,
But
because I don't know. The X-Men timeline, it makes no sense. But yeah, it's
yeah, that's the
2029.
other thing. Fuck it.
Exactly. I mean, they already did that. So,
Yeah. So,
and you can also view Logan as a self-contained thing,
yep.
kind of, if you want.
The other thing is like like timeline wise, I don't think there's anything that like is crucial in Logan that's like, oh, it has to take place X number of years after this film being the last X-Men movie or whatever, right? Like very easily they could just retcon the time period, be like, yeah, Logan takes place in 2065, and this it is the Wolverine. It's him. It's the one you love, and he's here because he's not dead yet in 2023. You know, like that's completely on the table, and to me at least, that would not personally cheapen what was done in Logan because that's still the character's ending. This isn't like after that he came back to life. It's like for an audience, it's like, yeah, you're seeing him again, but that doesn't change what his ending is, you know? Like
Yeah.
I feel like there's a similar conversation going on right now with Andor where people aren't watching it because it's like, well, I know Cassian dies. It's like, yeah, you can still tell something interesting that we haven't seen before with this character that has some fanfare behind them. That's how I feel about it, at least. I don't know if you feel differently.
Initially, I was a little concerned because of I love Logan. Let me tell you what. So I was like, I don't necessarily want that to cheapen it, but at the same time, I don't get the Andor comparison from people saying that because it's just straight up a prequel, whereas this is going to probably be like a lot of people had mentioned this online, similar to like Gamora in the MCU, where she died, they went back, and the Gamora that currently exists right now is from technically a different timeline in a sense. So that's probably what they're gonna do here. I would think like maybe Deadpool pulls the Wolverine we know from Fox like before Logan out of that timeline and just exists somehow here. Like they have kind of already done that.
Yeah.
So that seems more like a 1-to-1 for me, which is fine. Like I know this is certainly an excuse just to get him back in that role, but Like, we're all fine with that with Spider-Man. I think we can all be fine with that with Wolverine.
Yeah, and genuinely, it might be just be because this was a surprise actually and didn't leak, but like I love most of the Fox X-Men movies. Like there's probably 5 ones that I never have to watch again in my life, but they made like 12 of them.
Yeah.
I really, really like a lot of those, and I do think that, again, for me personally, a good number of those clear the entire MCU for me in terms of enjoying a Marvel like film.
Yeah, a lot of them are hit or miss for me, but I do agree. I think a lot of them, like the ones that I do enjoy, are really, really good, and do rank probably pretty high in like those Marvel general movies.
Yeah.
And honestly, I feel like the Hugh Jackman Ryan Reynolds meetup was a long time coming,
Oh yeah.
and like it seems so obvious because they just have so much back and forth like in real life that of course they're gonna get a movie together as the characters they champion so well. So, I mean, this is just can't imagine how well this is gonna do at the box office.
That's the other. It's gonna clearly, I think, be the highest grossing rated R film ever.
It has to be
And
because Deadpool was the
I think
Deadpool
Joker
one
took
was
it.
yeah, but like when it released, Deadpool was
Deadpool was, yeah.
yeah, and then obviously Joker has since surpassed.
Like to me, I still think like Hugh Jackman Wolverine. Maybe it might just be nostalgia, but I do think he's probably like top 3, and I don't think he's 3 or 2 like best castings for a character in a Marvel thing. Like I think he's the perfect. I know he's tall, but like he owns that so much.
No, I agree. I think it's so funny that I heard that so many times within the past day of people being like, Hugh Jackman's so great, but he's too tall. Like, that's never been an issue I've really had. And I get it. Like, I know he's supposed to be the short, stubby guy.
Yeah, who cares?
It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter to me.
You know what it is? It's a bunch of nerds that grew up
Yeah.
with the X-Men animated series. They're like, he's too tall. It's like, all right, well, we're from a different generation, clearly. We got introduced to the X-Men because of these movies. And Hugh Jackman, I think, has a record for the longest running, like, active cast superhero role.
Yes.
For a reason, you know?
And that continues.
Yeah. Nobody's going to take that title away from him.
Well, Michael Keaton, I think, technically. Although
Is
those
he?
movies are never
Because both of those movies are on the ice, dude.
Well, we'll see. But yes, he's certainly up there, at least in that category. So, yeah, I'm just really glad that this exists.
Me too.
I really love the idea of it. I don't know what they're going to do with it. And I don't know, 2024 seems sooner for this than I really expected.
Sure.
I know it's been forever. I think 2018 was the sequel, which, by the way, I remember none of. I was seeing people post like screenshots and little like clips or whatever in their video reactions to this. I'm like, yep, that's a movie I definitely saw in theaters and forgot. Forgot that Cable was the guy in there.
I really enjoy Deadpool 2 when I saw it twice in theaters, but I never want to rewatch it at home because of the kid. No offense to the kid, but like
Yeah.
they also like Fridge Vanessa. Like that was her name, right? Miranda Baccarin's character.
Was that his love interest?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So
Wasn't
like
she guy? I forget.
yeah. So yeah, I got a couple hangups with wanting to go back to Deadpool 2, but I do like it.
Yeah. I remember enjoying it, but it was kind of like not very memorable to me, I guess. But yeah, it's something I want to rewatch for sure.
Deadpool 1 though. What a great movie.
Oh, yeah. That's fantastic.
I'm excited for this. I'm sure you are too. It's made me want to crack open the X-Men Blu-rays soon because I miss seeing Hugh Jackman be Wolverine, dude. It's such a great time every time it happens.
I think that's our next great
Yeah.
rewatch is the X-Men series, and I guess now we have a time to do that 2 years from now.
Yeah, maybe we'll get an announcement of something happening soon because mutants keep popping up, you know.
So what's the deal with? Did you hear the rumors about not being able to recast Fox characters until 2025?
I did not.
Yeah, I very loosely I've heard that from like other videos and content creators online that because of whatever deal Disney made to acquire Fox. Like the pre-existing deals, like said that basically you couldn't cast characters that have previously existed in Fox movies in the Disney MCU until 2025. Like I guess that was the deals they had in place, and
Okay.
they have to honor them because they took over Fox. So if that's the case, then maybe we don't really get that mutant saga until 2025, which seems to line up with the end of Phase 6, maybe. So I don't know if that's true. It makes sense when I heard it, and the fact that this movie exists with the same actors. So I don't know.
I forget if I said it on pod. I definitely tweeted it though, but I like the next saga is probably the mutant saga. Like
Yeah.
I would be surprised if that's not the entire purpose, because like people have made the case like you need to have a bunch of setup movies for these new versions of the characters and all that stuff. So like, and I feel like the Avengers as a team is probably going to get again put on ice for a couple of years after the next time when we get two in 1 year, you know. So yeah, interesting stuff. We'll see if anybody else hops in for this thing. You know, it would be great to see another Fassbender drop, but
Yep. Yep.
even if it is, you know, it would be funny. I know we talked about this before. If that is true with their, their whole deal and their agreements of things, if in 2026, let's say, after that's done, we get a fourth Deadpool, and maybe it's the last one, it's Deadpool kills the Fox universe. We've talked about that as an idea before, but like get everybody in there one last time, all the weird shit too, and he just kills them all.
Sure.
And then himself, I guess. I don't know.
That I guess that could check out. That'd be quite the dark movie.
Yeah. So interesting stuff.
Yeah, completely random, but that was really cool to see this week.
Hell yeah. You know what else was cool?
What's that?
Watching She-Hulk today.
Yeah,
I like this show, Jack.
I do too. It's a great lunchtime staple for me.
Yeah, I agree. I would love, truthfully, I would love nothing more than not all of them, but other Marvel shows committing to the 25 minutes.
Yes.
It's just so breezy and it's so nice.
I think certain characters and tones lend very nicely to that. Obviously, this is a much more comedic, lighter tone.
Yeah.
So I think that's good. I like the week-by-week episodes not super being connected to each other. There's some threads here and there, but most of them are just kind of one-offs, which I think are fun. And it's not really anything you have to think about too much. So yeah, I like it. It's nothing I need to wake up first thing in the morning to watch, which I appreciate some shows that do that. Andor right now, I think for me is like I kind of, even though maybe that's a bad example, like The Mandalorian season 3, that will be something I wake up immediately so as not to be spoiled by Twitter. This is not one of those shows, and I appreciate that both of those kinds of shows can exist.
I completely agree. And I think another thing, and we can probably have a deeper conversation about this once She-Hulk is done with its run, but I feel that if there's going to be so many projects, having ones that are less of an investment but still really enjoyable is just going to make me enjoy it more. Because, like, straight up, Hawkeye felt like homework every week.
Yep.
Like, it did. Even Moon Knight to a degree, which I was enjoying, but, like, those last couple episodes, like, that was like it's like, shit, okay, I gotta put aside an hour and I gotta watch Moon Knight today. This is a joyous viewing, you know, like you said, sit down with lunch, have a couple laughs.
Lighter fare. I wish they would I wish they would label these as such. Of course they'll never do that, but they'll be like, hey, these are the really important ones. These are the ones that you can kind of just watch whenever. They'll never do that. Of course, that makes no marketing sense, but that's it to like prepare for them, I guess. I would like that.
Any revelations from this episode for you? They are seemingly setting up what is going to be the culmination of this season with the intelligentsia plot. Is that what it is?
Yeah, I guess that's kind of like the main. Now we've kind of come to understand that that's like what we're leading up to.
Mhm.
With what was the guy's name? Jason. Something.
Josh?
Josh. Yes, Josh. Being the guy to like seemingly extract her blood.
Hmm.
For whatever nefarious purpose he has for that, and the intelligentsia. I gotta be honest, I don't really care all that much about that. Um, I kind of just like whatever's happening in the episode itself. Um, but yeah, I'm really not sure like what is going on with that. Obviously, we'll find out in probably the last couple episodes. But
Hmm.
how many weeks left do we have?
This was episode 7. I think we have 2 more.
Oh, so Daredevil next week, maybe?
I would think. Unless he's in the finale.
That could be.
Yeah. I I'm gonna make a guess right now. I think that scene with her in her getup and Daredevil in his on the roof of that parking garage is the end of the show, end of the season.
Ooh. So it's just like, hey, I saw. Man, I wish they didn't do that. If that's the case, I wish they didn't do that. But you think it's gonna be like what you doing? Maybe we could team up sometime.
I think something like that. Yeah.
Traveled all the way to say that and pick up my new outfit.
That's my guess.
If that's the case, I'd be very upset that they showed that off. Obviously, to get people to watch the show. But man, what a cool surprise that would have been.
Yeah. Honestly, though, I think for the sake of this show and evaluating She-Hulk as a show, I would be fine with that because I think it's going to let the strengths of this show, carry itself through its finale. And then if they want to do the final scene of that, like not relegated to a post-credits thing, like still interweave it in there. Maybe Matt shows up next week and then Daredevil's in the finale. Like I'd be okay with that. It would feel like they'd allow the character and the show to still sort of, finish things on her terms, to a degree.
Yeah, not have that character really influence the quality of the show one way or another.
Yeah, that's how I'd like it to pan out,
Yeah,
personally.
yeah, that makes sense. I'm really not even sure how they're gonna interweave him in the show. That's still like one of the great mysteries of the show, which I'm excited to find out. Like that could be a nice little surprise next week, or like what you said, just to wrap things up nicely in the final episode.
Yeah. So, fight next week or week after? What are you expecting?
I think it's the last episode. I think you need to set that up in the next episode.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's probably a safe bet because they've already had her get jumped. I don't think they would do that again.
Yeah.
Like with like the whoever is the big bad of this. So yeah, it probably makes sense next week get a villain reveal, and then final episode's just a big battle, and then she goes back to her office, and then she goes to the parking garage, and that's the end. That's my guess.
Yeah,
So
you're probably right.
fine with me. I'm liking it. I'll watch a season 2. you know.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So, any other standout moments from this weekend with She-Hulk?
It's nice to see Tim Roth do his thing, I guess.
Yeah.
Appreciate that turn of. It seems like more genuine now.
Mm-hmm.
Where I was like, it's kind of an act. It does seem like he is on the mend in that regard, which is funny.
Yeah, so I wonder if that's going to factor into Thunderbolts at all, or maybe that's the reason he's not there.
Yeah, I honestly don't know.
But I like the supporting cast a lot too. I'm glad they're still getting moments to shine, throughout the entire time. But excited to see where it goes next week. Excited to see Matt Murdock, see if he's going to slip on a banana peel when he shows up.
That's what a lot of people are expecting.
Yeah, well, we'll see, But
now that would be bad.
Nah, it'd be good. It'd be good. Until then, though, Jack, until we get that answer, where can the agents of Excelsior find you?
Yes, you can follow me on Twitter at FascinatedJack. I'll shout out like what Christian was saying. We have a couple things. You probably just missed our Hall of Game if you didn't see it. I wonder who got in. That's for you to know, me to find out, because we're recording that right after we record this. But that's our quarterly Video Game Hall of Fame show, where we each bring a game, discuss it, and vote on which games are added to the hall. So very excited. Always very excited to see what people bring. So that'll be cool. We also have our Arkham City Long Play Club coming out soon. We're recording that soon. Should release, like what Christian said, at some point in the middle of October. So be on the lookout for that. Feel free to play along with us. That is a very fun experience. Love that game. And excited to talk about it. But what about you, Christian?
Sure, you can find me on Twitter and TikTok at Shun2D2, as well as here for the video version of Excelsior. You're on youtube.com/joyclicks, like Jack said. All of those videos he shouted out will be up on the channel. Arkham Asylum's already on there, Arkham City coming down the pipeline, and the VOD for the Hall of Game. You can check out. But if you want to find the audio version of Excelsior, you can look it up on your favorite platform for listening to podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, anywhere. Just look up Avengers Game Podcast or Excelsior or Joyclicks. You'll find it. Keywords, they're a great thing. Rating and reviewing takes a quick second to do. Helps us out a ton, helps us reach more people. And if you want to help us out further, you can do so by going to patreon.com/joyclicks at the $1 and $5 tiers. $5 will get you producer credit, like Aaron Easton and Jose Garcia, for every podcast we produce. And that's it for Excelsior. We will be back next week with more Marvel. But until then, Excelsior.
Excelsior.